Welcome to Future Ready Students, a podcast that goes beyond textbooks and tests. In this space, we bring you real conversations with visionary educators, school leaders, and change makers who are reimagining what it means to truly prepare students for life. Because the future belongs to those who are not just well informed, but well equipped. So, if you're a parent, teacher, or student ready to think differently, you're in the right place. Today's guest is Dr. Manisha Mehta, a passionate educator with over 30 years of experience across school, college, and international education. A proud alumni of IIT Roorkee and Punjab University, she has led prestigious IB schools to global excellence and mentored over 40 institutions across India and Nepal. Her deep expertise in instructional leadership, teacher training, and holistic education makes her a true thought leader in shaping future-ready learners. So, welcome to the podcast series, Future Ready Students, Insights from Education Leaders. We extend a warm welcome to you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Nitya. A pleasure and honor to be here with you.
Likewise. Ma'am, you've been in the education sector across school and college levels for over 3 decades now. So, can you please share with us what has kept your passion for teaching and learning alive all these years?
Interesting question, Nitya. So, what has kept my passion alive? I would say it's the constant evolution of education, and as well as my personal growth that is, happening alongside. And I believe, and I think everybody would agree that teaching isn't static. And I have taken risks. I have, reinvented myself when needed, which has been incredibly enriching, right? And a turning point came in 2018, when I moved from being a chemistry teacher to teaching theory of knowledge in the IB diploma program. And that shift expanded my intellectual canvas. I was now exploring the nature of knowledge across disciplines, from arts to history to math. And that was something which was, such experiences keep you motivated always, right? Again,
Right.
the international programs that I've worked with, whether it was Cambridge or IB, they are constantly evolving, which means the challenge never ends. That keeps me on my toes, pushes me to grow. And last, but the most important thing is, I've always seen learning as a two-way street. I learn just as much from my students as they do it from me. So that exchange, that dynamism is that, which makes my work deeply fulfilling.
Can resonate with that. Being with students, you feel like a child.
Yes,
Great.
yes.
Great. Okay, really appreciate that, ma'am. Okay, so you have played a vital role in shaping international curricula, especially the International Baccalaureate Diploma program. So please share with us what makes the IB approach different in preparing students for the future.
I think this is a question I've been asked multiple times at different forums. So I would say IB stands out because it does not prepare students for exams. It prepares students for life.
For life.
And it focuses on developing critical thinkers, global citizens, reflective individuals. And I would say there are the core components of the IB, the theory of knowledge, the extended essay, and the CAS. They push the students, away from the textbook and, motivate them to engage in real world ideas, real world issues. And specifically, CAS, I would say that's truly transformative. And it allows students to take ownership of their learning, by working on projects that matter to them, their communities. And in this process, children develop the skills of empathy, initiative, and responsibility. And that these skills go far beyond the academics. And I would say in this era of AI, you would agree that the world is changing so fast. Subject knowledge isn't enough, right?
Yeah, and by the time you complete your degree or your course, it's already outdated. The knowledge is already outdated.
Yes. So what is important is the skills of problem solving, adaptability, emotional
Adaptability.
intelligence.
Right.
And I would say IB, it is specially inbuilt in the program, and
Mm.
it nurtures these through authentic experiences that, actually relate one to the real life. I'll just quote an example here.
Yeah, please.
During the COVID-19, what happened was, children were confined to their homes, but they have energy, they have the enthusiasm. So what they did was they organized a TEDx event, and
Mhm.
they chose carefully curated the event, chose 10 renowned speakers, also managed sponsorships, and
Mhm.
the whole event, and there were around 200 participants in that event. And
That's good.
I would say in that experience, the children, I mean, what they would have studied in their business management, economics, or English class, that wouldn't have, uh, be equal to what they learned in this experience. So,
Right. So this is like the real world experience,
yes,
experiential.
yes,
So they must have like whatever they have learned in their classrooms, they're actually putting that into use,
yes, into
applying
practice.
the knowledge directly. The
Yes,
entire IP curriculum is curated in a way that children actually apply the knowledge. They just don't
yes,
gain the knowledge, they apply it in real life, and in the process learn all the other skills that are required for success in life.
yes, correct, absolutely.
Right. So, ma'am, you have also played this role of being a parent mentor. So, what do you think parents most often misunderstand or overlook when it comes to their child's career decisions?
So very, very interesting question. And, I would say every parent has the best intention for the child, right? But then
Correct.
when they actually look at their children's, career paths, they see it through the lens of stability. They
Mm.
see it through the lens of social approval rather than the child's passion or aptitude. And
Agreed.
huh, as a result, what happens is many a times they resist unconventional choices, like especially in the fields like arts, sports, or entrepreneurship. But the truth is, I mean, we've just discussed the world is changing, and so are the definitions of success. I'll again for this. I'll just I'm remembering an example, right? A child who wanted to pursue visual arts but
Mm.
faced complete resistance from her parents. They were concerned about job security and the viability. But this student, she showed remarkable perseverance and clarity. She stood her ground. She built a strong portfolio, and now she's studying at the University of Arts London, thriving, and she's more confident than ever. So
Right.
that is something that the parents need to understand. They need to support the child when they see that there is an inclination, there's an aptitude, and the child is strong about it. And one more point which comes to my mind is when, sometimes I've seen parents unintentionally, they project their unfulfilled.
Aspirations.
Yes, yes,
Aspirations of their kids.
yes,
And they do it in a very, very, subtle way. They're, they're not even aware of what they're actually doing to the child.
yes, yes,
I
yes.
couldn't study this. Okay, you please study this. I didn't
Hmm.
have opportunity to, sit for the UPSC exam. Now you do it.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
Right? And the
100%.
child, grows up believing that the child is cut out for UPSC or for medicine.
Hmm.
But only when they start pursuing, maybe they are capable of doing it, and only
Yes,
once they enter this career path, at some point they realize that this wasn't their cup of tea. But then that's too late. You've already
that's too
wasted
late.
resources,
That's
time, energy into this.
so.
And for some of them there's no
Yes.
going back. So they
And so it's
continue.
very important parents be supportive, parents be understanding, and especially, I mean, they understand the child the best. So I think that way, parents need to be really supportive, because if the child is good at something and is loving something, then jolly well allow the child to do that, pursue that.
Right. At least give them an opportunity to
Mm,
explore and figure out for themselves whether they
yes,
can you're
Yes.
capable of doing it or not, or
Yes.
whether this is going to work out or not, right? Yeah,
Yes.
that's a great point that you have shared, ma'am.
Yeah.
Right. So, what do you believe schools can do more effectively to help students in making their career decisions, and also in their career paths in the for higher education?
So I think this is I would say, a stepwise process, I would say. The first most effective things that schools can do is start career guidance early, right?
Hmm.
Around grade 8 or even sooner.
Right.
In one of the
By
schools that
middle
I work,
school,
yes,
by the
yes,
end of middle school, career guidance has to start.
yes, yes. And in one of the schools I worked with, we designed career focused experiences. I mean,
Hmm.
and I'm not talking about experiences merely talking about careers, but
Hmm.
doing the research and engaging with the world beyond the classroom. So, what we did was in grade 8, students were divided into groups and they had to choose two career study destinations. Say, let's say UK, Canada, one group chooses. So, they researched on the universities in those countries. They presented their findings to the parents, and it became,
Hmm.
a powerful learning moment, not just for
Right.
the children, but for the families also.
Hmm.
So that's
So
when you.
you create that awareness at an
Hmm,
early age, so they are aware of what are the different types of careers
hmm,
are there, what are the career pathways and all that, and then make the decision gradually later on.
yes, and it's self-directed, and the
Hmm.
families, the dialogue becomes starts early. And then
Early.
another way is, we have to invite speakers from, organizations like USIEF, US India Education Federation, Association of Indian Universities, then representatives from individual universities, whether it's Indian or international, to interact with the children. And these sessions are, they give the children a grounded understanding of different fields, their requirements,
Hmm.
and I think that really helps. And also, if experts from different schools can be invited, like design school, law school, or a
Awesome.
liberal arts college. So it helps children. Let us say an art student can build the portfolio better,
Hmm.
understand what is expected, what the course entails. And I think lastly, what I would, also recommend strongly is children should join internships during the summer. And I'm
Hmm.
not saying only grade 11 and 12, but for grades 8 onwards should do it. Because if the children want to pursue something, they will not get to know till they see it close, right? They can't tell whether it's a true fit. So these experiences are very, very important. And
Yeah. So if someone wants to become, say, for example, a doctor or an AI expert, all they get to see is like watch somebody else playing the role of a doctor. But when they actually do these internships or job shadowing, but even virtually, that also has an effect. They get to understand like what are the roles and what is the scope of this job. Will I be able to do this on a day-to-day basis? What are the nuances? What are the skills that are required? Do I have the skills? Will I be able to compete in this, compete and work and thrive in this kind of a office setup or a, job setup, right? Okay, so they get that, and in building portfolios, that is so much necessary, that you do internships or you attend summer schools and you have this kind of an experience earlier, right? So having an awareness, creating that awareness in schools from middle school to early high school actually gives the opportunities for students to explore more careers, have a clear understanding before they make that career decision.
yes, I think one point I missed was also probably the aptitude testing and the
Hmm.
psychometric testing, which most schools do. And they also have a follow up session with the um, counselor, the career
Counselor.
counselor.
Yeah, to
And
decode the report and tell them
yes,
what their strengths and
yes,
weaknesses
yes,
are. And some of the parents actually have asked me this question when I say like you start career guidance by class 8. Okay, so they say, see, even after doing the psychometric assessment, my child is so young. Okay, do you think these skills have developed completely? They are still in the developing stage. So why do we do the test so early? And then I have to tell them, like, you don't do the test. Doing a psychometric assessment or having a career guidance session at class 8 is not to decide that this child is going to pursue this career path. It is to see where the child is right now,
See,
where does the child stand right now, and then based on that, okay, it is for profile building. We leverage their strengths first. We figure out, like, where their strengths are, and then work on developing them. That's why career guidance is necessary at this stage, not to decide whether my child is going to pursue
yes,
this career.
it's not a standalone thing and not the
Right,
only way. So it is a
right.
collective of, so many things put together: the academic results, the child's own interest, the psychometric test, what the child
And
wants to.
maybe the values and the motivators, that plays like a crucial role in
Yes,
making career decisions. What motivates the child? What is the main value? What does the child want or look for in a career? That's most important. For some
something.
it's money, for some it's success, for some it's fame and popularity, so for some it's innovation. So we need to figure out what motivates and what the child is looking for in a career before we make those decisions for them.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. So from your perspective, ma'am, if you can say, like, these are the top three skills that students must develop in order to thrive in tomorrow's world, because as we discussed, it's changing very, very fast. So there are a lot of skills that the students have to develop, but if you have to prioritize and say these are the top three skills, what would they be?
See, if I had to name the top three skills that students must develop to succeed, uh, especially in tomorrow's world, I will begin with adaptability, right? So we are living in the VUCA world. We know it's volatile, it's uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, and we are seeing that, I mean, directly. I mean, since 2020, we are experiencing how the changes have been due to maybe an uncertainty like COVID that happened, or how AI is changing jobs, careers, right? I think the ability to adapt and remain flexible in the face of new challenges, it's not just helpful, it's essential. Very, very essential.
Yes,
And
yes.
the next skill that I think of is critical thinking, right?
Mm,
And
mm,
information for us is just a click away, right? But then knowing how to access facts, that's not enough. What truly matters is how students engage with that information. How do they
mm.
analyze it, question it? How are they able to connect the dots? Are they able to
Right,
solve the problems, make informed decisions? I think it is these skills that help them rise above the noise and think
right,
independently.
right. Like filtering information,
Yes,
to
yes,
get overwhelmed with options, and the internet gives you like so many different
yes,
things, but are you able to filter out and take the things only that are required for you?
yes. So, and
That's
finally, I would say it's empathy and communication. So, the world is becoming increasingly interconnected, right? I mean, students should be able to collaborate. They should, across cultures, across disciplines, uh, perspectives. And I think empathy uh, is very, very important there to build teams, right? To be able to communicate clearly, respectfully. And, whether they are designing technology, running a business, or conducting global research, I think empathy and communication is one of the key skills that children require. Everyone requires.
right,
So
right. So we have to be like tolerate differences, for example.
true.
Everyone is not the same, but still work with them as a
Yeah.
team. So you have to build your communication skills and empathy, so you understand the other person's
Yes.
perspective, and then work around, like
Yes.
manage conflicts. We can add a lot of other skills to that, empathy and communication
Yes.
skills.
And I'll
Great, ma'am.
just, want to say that, these three skills, whether it's adaptability, critical thinking, or empathy, they are not tied to any profession, right?
Hmm.
They are the foundation for success in any field, whether it's
Yes.
science, it's arts, it's entrepreneurship, anything for that matter. So, very, very important.
Yeah, even if you have to maintain good healthy relationships with other people, you definitely have to adapt.
Yes,
You can't be very firm and say this is what I am. So if you
true.
want, you just have a relationship with me. Otherwise, no, you can't be that way. You have to be flexible. You have to
Yes,
adapt. You have to communicate. You have to empathize with them, and of course, have critical thinking. Otherwise, you'll be like manipulated and directed in a wrong direction. Right, right,
yes,
great. So it applies to all,
yes.
um, career and as well as relationships. Great. So, ma'am, we were talking about this overwhelming of information. There are so many options available. So students feel overwhelmed. So what would your advice be to students who are struggling to make those career decisions?
See, again, I would say career indecision, it's very common. And especially in a world full of choices, I mean, not like us, wherein we had everything was compartmentalized. You had only, if you were a bright student, you would take up sciences, otherwise commerce, or if you were academically not good, then you would take up arts. That was the way it was in my time, right? Now it's a world full of choices. So I think it's okay for a 16, 17-year-old not to have figured out, right? What exactly do I want to do, right? But I always tell students, don't stress about finding the perfect option immediately. Clarity comes only after exploring, right? So
Mm.
if I'll just give you an example for this. I had a student who was equally interested in psychology and economics, and both the careers were, respectable, promising fields. The parents were more inclined towards economics, but she didn't know much which one she'd enjoy long term. So
Mhm.
she enrolled in a short term course uh, in both, and then spoke with professionals in those fields. And she even did a small, internship with a counselor. And this
Mhm.
process helped her discover her strength, her preferences. And now she's pursuing behavioral economics, and that's a field that beautifully combines both the interests.
Interdisciplinary, right?
So my advice is take small, meaningful steps, attend webinars, try internships, talk to working professionals. You'll learn a lot about yourself in the process.
Mm.
And for parents, I would say support this exploration, because then you are helping your child build not just a career, but something which is fulfilling for them,
Right, right.
right?
Yeah, so we don't want just careers and money or financial status for our children. We want fulfillment and joy. We
Yes.
want our kids to be happy, lead a happy, healthy life. Great, great.
And
So
small steps are very important. These steps are very, very important, because usually what children do is, yeah, they decide, I want to be a nuclear scientist. Have they really gone into and seen what is it that is required?
understood. So, as an education thought leader, what changes would you like to see in mainstream schooling so it better aligns with what the future job market needs?
So I think if I start discussing, it can be a long, but I'll focus on only two, three things. First of all, I would want the schools to shift their focus from not just completing the syllabus to truly building skills, right?
Mm.
And then we need to bring things like entrepreneurship, financial literacy, coding, design thinking into the curriculum much earlier. And these are just aren't extras anymore, right? They're essentials for the world our children are stepping into. And again,
Right,
we need to really move away from the obsession with marks and ranks. And learning, it shouldn't be a race. I mean, it should be a journey.
right,
And when we give students the space to explore their interests through passion projects or through interdisciplinary work, it is, I mean, only then that real learning happens.
Mm.
And I think besides all this, it's very important we don't forget the human side of schooling. Emotional well-being, collaboration, empathy, I just spoke about. These are as important as academics, if not more,
Oh,
right?
right.
And I truly believe schools should feel like places of discovery and not just places of delivery. And children should not just be taught, they should be inspired, empowered, and then finally transformed. So,
Right. Right. That's the true purpose of education. Where children are able to discover themselves and find purpose in life. That's what education is all about. So yes, you're right. So we need to like focus more on, like you said, emotional intelligence. Like emotional quotient is what is tested by top MNCs now more than your certificates or your degrees that you have. So they're testing your emotional intelligence before they hire you. And soon, like I'm sure most of the companies, most of the employers will follow that strategy as well. So we better teach them the skills, focus more on skills and not just the marks and grades that they get.
and
Right,
also
right.
we see, the kind of, I mean, we have those children aspiring to be becoming an engineer, cracking the IIT JEE exam, and then in the process, we get to hear such news, I mean, emotional well-being is compromised, children take extreme steps, and
Steps.
those are not to be done. I think that we need to really curtail, stop. So for that,
Mm.
I think emotional well-being, the
Yeah.
awareness, the understanding, and building that is very, very important.
Building resilience and independent
Mm,
thinking. Just don't follow the crowd.
yeah.
Like everybody else is preparing for IIT or NEET, and so I
Mm.
joined them. So I'm working on this book called Unfollow the Crowd,
Oh.
where I talk about like just because everybody else is doing, don't compare your children with others. See
Mm.
what is unique in your child, and then allow the child to discover that and explore more opportunities and decide, like, design your own life, you
Mm.
know and define your own success. Why do you have to follow somebody else's path? Right?
Yes.
Success means, it's personalized. Success is something that is very personal.
Yes.
Like what is my success is very different from what other people's success is. So once we teach children to like design their own lives, they don't have to follow the crowd. Everything, all the issues with parenting and with children's emotional and mental well-being actually starts with competition and comparison.
Comparison and then ridicule. I would say parents, I mean, here I would say that parents also so many times they compare their children and then they
Mm.
ridicule. They would, how does it impact the child? I mean, that is something which really
So students sometimes, like, they forget that it is their own life. That self awareness is not there because they don't get time or the opportunity or a space to actually start looking inwards.
true.
Okay, so finally, looking back, what is one student success story or transformation that has stayed with you, and why?
So this one student that I'll never forget, and he came from a small town. He struggled academically. He stammered while speaking. And I mean, usually he was unnoticed in the class and just a quiet presence. But when he entered grade 11 in the IB, something shifted. He got deeply involved in CAS, creativity, activity, and service. And that became a turning point in his career. And he began leading initiatives like organizing a Diwali Mela in school and running sales to raise funds for charity. And slowly we saw him, come alive. His English wasn't fluent, but his perseverance and organizational skills stood out, right? His confidence actually grew. And
Mhm.
I mean, the best part was it reflected even as in academics. He was a very average child, and we could see slowly he became better. He started doing
Mhm.
well. And one of the most impactful projects was during the natural disaster, and there was a village in Assam, and that was cut off due to a broken bridge, right? And he took the lead, and we coordinated as a school. We coordinated with UNDP, the UN organization, and the students collected basic medicines, right, and to distribute to those who were stranded. And this impact was so significant that our students were invited to the UNDP office to meet their head. And this child
Mhm.
now, he's recently, I read a post on LinkedIn, he's graduated from Penn State University.
Wow.
So
That's a really big transformation, from a quiet introvert kind of a child to becoming such a confident. And when students get that little spark, that little hope of confidence, it actually resonates in other areas of their
yes,
life.
yes. And I would say this is, this is the power of CAS that I saw beyond community service, built emotional intelligence, leadership, self worth. And this, again, when I think about him, it reminds me education is not just about marks or exams. It's about, young people, if they're able to discover their voice, their purpose, and their place in the world. So that is something which is very important. So we should be able to inspire children. We should be able to
Right,
empower them so that they transform.
right. Yeah, that was really insightful, ma'am, and thank you so much for sharing your experience along with real life examples. Because the students or parents and even other school leaders who watch this program can actually relate to the examples that you have shared. And I'm sure, like, this is going to be bring a lot of transformation in their career journeys, or in the way parents children in making career decisions. So thank you so much for joining and sharing your wisdom with all of us. Okay, hope to meet you soon in another collaboration like this. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Nitya, and your thoughts and your insights were equally, meaningful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.